Today, we're going to talk about some favorite free testers, tools for today's test. Like, I shouldn't have even made this a tongue twister, right? Some favorite tools that are favorites of mine, but also these tools are favorites of other testers that I know. So this is kind of an update based on a talk that I gave at STPCon a couple of years ago, and we'll kind of get through some of these tools. But I want to make this a bit interactive, so I'll talk through some of the tools that that I know of that I think are really good tools for testers to use, and these have to be free tools, right? But I also want to hear from you about tools that are some of your favorites. So I want to make sure that we're not just talking about, hey, I use this tool to automate this thing. Now, we'll talk about some tools that do some automation, but, I'm going to get a little bit more into here, some of the fine print. And we'll I guess, scope the talk a little bit here. So favorites, this is my judgment at this current moment in time based on research experience and recommendations from other testers I deeply respect. And also, I'm going to broaden this definition that a tool is something such as an instrument or apparatus used in performing an operation or necessary in the practice of a vocation or profession. So that is the Merriam-Webster definition of a tool. So I think we're going to think a little bit more broadly than just hey, this tool automates this thing, right? So I want to explore a few of these different tools. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth and cover like two or three tools like in depth in our time today. I'm going to go over as many tools as I can get through briefly, and I'm going to talk about a few different things. So how we're going to go through this. So first of all, these are going to be the kinds of testers that can use these tools. So if it's for certain things like accessibility or performance or other things, what kind of need does it fulfill? I'm going to talk about some things that you can do with that tool, and I'm going to talk to you about where you can get that tool. So also I've got Tim the Tool Man. He's going to be with us here, and look for him. And these are some of my favorite faves, right? As far as tools that I really like or people that I know use these tools a lot. So this is also going to be an opportunity for you to share out some of the tools that are your favorites. So you'll have the opportunity to pop into the Zoom chat and throw in like the who, what, and where of some of your favorite tools. So I will pause at different points through our talk today to where you can, just if you think of a tool and you want to just jot that down as I'm covering other tools, feel free to do that and throw it in the chat. And then you'll have a minute or so to like share out a little bit about that tool, because we really want to hear from other testers and not just me as far as what I like the best, right? So I want to hear of the favorite tools that you have that you use in your role for a variety of different purposes, right? So again, not just automation. Think about like other technical tools, process tools. Think about thinking tools. I'll cover some of those, and just other things that really help us be incredibly successful as software testers. All right. Moving along, I'm going to start with some thinking tools. And again, I'm going to go through these pretty quick, because what I want you to do is I want you to be exposed to the tool, and you can take your own time, make a note, jot it down if you want to go and do a little bit more research. This session is also being recorded, so we'll get that posted at some point, probably a little bit later this week, so that you can go back through there if you want to collect them, so don't feel like you have to feverishly write down all the notes. All right. So for thinking tools, I really want to start with mind mapping, because being able to show the design or express an idea is incredibly helpful for testers. So if you're someone that wants to visually represent test designs or organize test ideas in a very easy to understand visual format, a mind mapping tool is something that can be incredibly helpful for that. So I've got a couple listed here. MindEmUp is one that we've used quite a bit at TechSmith, and people seem to really like, but I also know there's a lot of people that really enjoy XMind. Now, there's a list. You can go out and search for like the top 10 free mind mapping tools and sort through some if you want. That's totally cool for you to do. But these tools are really, really good for expressing your ideas, sharing those ideas, and also like collaborating with other testers around those. Now, it becomes really, really powerful when you combined a mind mapping tool with like idea generation, right? Brainstorming type sessions. So if you're using something like the heuristic test strategy model or other test design models, these can be really, really helpful to express the ideas generated from those in like a collaborative test idea session. All right. Next up is, this is like a really big free thinking tool, right? The Black Box software testing courses. So these courses can be used by testers that want to grow their skill in testing. You can find these out at testingeducation.org. But they have 3 courses that are foundations of software testing, bug advocacy, and test design. And these courses are a bit more aligned to what's referred to as the context-driven school. So think more about like exploratory type testing, related skills. They're designed by Kem Kainer, and they're I believe it's a Creative Commons license. So you could use these in some training in your own organization if you wanted to, but they're you can take them through the Association of Software Testing and pay for them and get like a certificate when you're done. But you can also get these as free courses online and cover a variety of black box software testing techniques. So again, if you're looking for brushing up your testing skill sets, or even if you know of people that are new to testing, these are really great options for people to learn about the foundations of testing, bug advocacy, and also aspects of test design. All right, those are just a few thinking tools. Now I want to talk for a few minutes about tools that are more productivity related focus tools. So the first one I'll share here is, this one is a new one that's on my list, Bitwarden. I've used LastPass for several years, and I used the free version. And then LastPass had a paid version, which I started using, but then they upped the value of their free version. And so I went back to the free version. Well, they just announced like 10 days ago that you have to choose your platform for LastPass. You can either be mobile only or computer only, which I know they're doing that because they want to, increase their revenue, right? To have people convert to a password management utility. So I started exploring other options and talking with some other people. Bitwarden was recommended because they have a fairly fully featured free version. So if you're a tester that needs to remember different user IDs and in your personal life or at work, for every application or system access that you have on there, I mean, I have, I don't know, 300 passwords or something, or maybe even more in my system, and to manage those. But Bitwarden, I discovered, also has a conversion tool. Like you can export your passwords out of another solution and then you can import them into Bitwarden. So anyway, I'm looking at probably migrating over to Bitwarden. So if you're a tester that is wanting to track your passwords, you could use other paid resources, but Bitwarden seems to be pretty highly recommended in some research that I've done this week in asking others. So consider that as an option. All right, next up is Generate Data. Generate Data has been around for quite a long time. If you're a tester that needs some data, so like I don't use a whole lot of data in my testing in these days, but in roles where you'd have to come up with names, addresses, all kinds of things like that, Generate Data is a cool site that can generate a variety of those things, custom data in a variety of formats, populating databases, That's the kind of idea behind this site. It kind of has like out of the box script functionality or whatever that contains functionality that you generally need for generating some data. But you can do some different things with it that's pretty cool as far as exporting different output types and those kinds of things. But you can only generate like hundreds of records on the free version. But if you spend a little bit of money, you can generate like big chunks of data from their site. So it's definitely a pretty cool site to consider if you just need a few different names, addresses, or whatever for some testing. All right, next up. Okay, I have to throw a TechSmith tool on the list, right? I work for TechSmith, and we have a free tool for screen and video capture called TechSmith Capture. So if you're familiar with Jing, this was a Jing replacement. So we had Jing for lots of years, was like the top rated tool, I think, in like the UTest community. People really, really loved it, but it started showing its age and needed to be upgraded. And rather than putting all the effort into upgrading Jing, we came out with a modern version for a capture tool and called it TechSmith Capture. So if you're a tester that wants to grab some quick and easy screenshots, some videos to share them, Capture has image and video capture screen. You can get webcam, you can get system audio. You can quickly and easily grab videos. Do some basic editing on those as well. So it's definitely a tool that's pretty easy for screen capture. If you're wanting to get into screen capture, and obviously you could pay and go to something like a Snagit if you wanted to, but if you're just looking for some easy screen grabs, Capture is a really good tool. All right. I want to talk a little bit about time tracking. So I know that there are some testers that either need to track their time on projects, or if you're one that is doing work where you're consulting, if you have a need to do some time tracking, you can use a tool like ToggleTrack. So it's built for speed and ease of use for doing some time tracking. And it's kind of like outmodes timesheets, so to say. But if you are concerned more about like having some billable time or other things, you can always kind of go back and enter things in later on, or you can turn it on when you're doing certain tasks and do some time tracking. So it is free for users up to a group of 5 and has a wide variety of features such as auto tracking, Pomodoro timer, idle detection, and those types of things for managing some of your time tracking. So this is a tool that I don't personally use, but was recommended to me by other testers that need to do time tracking for their work. And one of my favorites, my life is permeated throughout with Trello. Okay. There may be other tools that people use for project tracking, but I use this at work, and I also use it at home to manage projects. So my my house has a to-do list in Trello. My yard has a to-do list in Trello. Like I've got all kinds of like projects in Trello that I use both personally and at work. And so if you're looking to organize your tasks and like a list format or a tool for some lightweight project collaboration, Trello is a really, really good tool for using that. Now, again, there are other tools for processing like Kanban or like team-based Kanban, personal Kanban, those types of things. But I find there's a lot of value in Trello. And so there's this plugin that I use. One of my favorite things about it is Trello has added a lot of additional features, but there's this one tool called Scrum for Trello, which I really like because it's this little utility you kind of plug in there, and it can do your pointing, right? It can do your estimates on cards, and it can do elapsed time, and it totals those at the top. So I like that because when we're doing some teamwork in Trello, we can always see, how many points do we have on cards that have been taken up as an individual card or groups, and it really helps on our build team for us to do a lot of tracking related to both estimates, capacity, velocity, and those types of things. So that's a free tool that we use as a plugin for Trello, and I really like that. So this is my go-to tool for organizing my work. All right. So I want to pop back and just touch base with people and say, hey, quick reminder, we need your help. So feel free to do your who, what, where in the chat session. I'll take a look here. I don't see anything. Anybody throw anything in the chat? There's nothing in the chat yet. Look at this. Can you see this? Nothing. I have nothing in here. You guys got to throw some tools in there. So you can keep listening. So you're probably at the point now where you're getting a feel for like how I'm doing this, what I'm covering, just a little bit of an introduction to the tool. And so if you think of a tool that you use for productivity, thinking, tools that help you in your daily work, again, it doesn't necessarily even have to be specifically for testers. There's a lot of tools that people use for their productivity. So Teresa's got a smiley face in here, and I know she's going to be working on throwing a tool in there for me. So I will continue on with my list, but yeah, let's keep going. All right. Got to readjust my view here on my note slides. So let's talk a little bit about test strategy and test management tools, because this is an area where sometimes people need tools, but they don't know where to reach or what they can try to help them with test strategy or improving the way that they're doing some of their tracking for test cases. So I do want to start out with the heuristic test strategy model. So this I would consider to be one of the best tools for identifying test design, test cases, and overall planning for your testing. So if you are a tester that struggles with coming up with how different aspects of like what quality criteria do I need to be concerned about? What are the product elements do I have to analyze for this product of doing the testing? What is the environment that I'm dealing with that surrounds this project? Okay. And then those three areas in the model, I influence what test techniques you are going to use for the testing on your project, which is then going to elicit the information that you'll be able to provide to the stakeholders as far as what the quality of the product is. So that's really kind of a quick overview of what the heuristic test strategy model looks like. It's a 5-page PDF that has test techniques and your project planning effort, as I said, analyzing the product elements and quality criteria that you would consider. So if you're looking for a model to plan your test strategy on your next project, design tests, explore and assess quality, and then provide feedback and identify test areas that are way, way off what the requirements are, the heuristic test strategy model is really, really good at doing that. Because you've got to think about requirements in not just, hey, somebody wrote up a list of requirements or acceptance criteria for me. These are the things I need to test. And if it does these things, it's good. Because that's not necessarily the full value that a tester is going to deliver. A tester also needs to be concerned about those requirements that the users don't even know they have, and how that functionality is going to be affected by any kinds of like implicit requirements or things that you don't just know about. So through the process of exploration and discovery, the heuristic test strategy model can help you with that. All right. Next is METS. So Greg Pascal, who I don't know if he's on this call. He had signed up for it, but Greg Pascal is a friend of mine and also the creator of METS. This is the Minimal Essential Test Strategy, and it is a strategy to help ensure that essential testing is done within a time frame allowed. So basically, this is a test strategy, not only a philosophy, but a tool to be able to help you prioritize your tests, whether they are like kind of high, medium, low, criteria, and then I kind of build a matrix around that to determine that if you're crunched for time, what do you have to run? If you have more time, what are you going to run? And Greg's got a little course for this on Udemy that he recently created that goes into a little bit more detail about how to use the tool. But you can go out to metstesting.com and you can find this tool, and you could try it on your next project. If you've got something where you want to, use like an Excel file or a Google Sheet to kind of build out your strategy, METS will really help you do that. All right, I've got a couple of test management tools. First one is Tarantula. It is a free test case management tool for a bit more modern testing. It's got tags and smart tags, real-time dashboarding. It's got some traceability for requirements and some integrations. So Tarantula, I've used it in the past. I don't know much about the current implementation of it, but it is a free test case management tool that you can use if you're kind of managing testing on an agile project. But it does include things for requirements and stuff. So maybe you're on a project where it's just you need to organize your testing, and you need something a little more powerful that can do some reporting outside of like a spreadsheet, and you'd want to use something like Tarantula. That's an option for that. There's also TestLink. It's been around for a number of years. It's an open source test management tool, kind of similar to Tarantula. So again, a couple of options here for free test case management tools. So in TestLink, you can put in your test plans, cases, create test suites, do execution and reporting. And it does have some decent reporting with pretty easy management. I have used it in the past on projects, although it's been a number of years since I've really had a need for it. But again, if you don't need a paid option, you're looking for something easy to kind of get in there and use, TestLink is a good option. All right, so I want to pause and pop over to the chat window, and oh, look, some people dropped some tools in there. Yay, people. So let's see. Somebody threw in here Jira and KeePass. Do you want to talk about either one of those? Feel free to just unmute yourself and just share a little bit about them.
KeePass is just a local private type password vault, so it's not cloud-based.
Okay, so yeah, you could use it as a local copy and not have your information stored externally. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and there are systems out there that are hosting the compatibility to it, so that if you wanted to find a cloud-based version of it, you could. And it is supported on the different platforms.
Great.
And the file format database is transportable between OSs and the different builds. So I use it on my phone. I have put it on my Google Drive, and I can use it on my phone or on my PC.
Okay.
So that way somebody else is not hosting it. And then Jira is a whole ecos of Adelson products, and those are paid for, so they might not qualify here. But,
right.
From the Kanban boards and the ticket management and all that, and it's integrated. It can be easily integrated into the GitLab process flows.
All right. Thank you for sharing those. Looks like Stephen has Discord for communication. You want to talk a little bit about Discord?
It's just useful to easily chat with anyone anytime and drop in pictures and files and videos to share and show what you're working on and get critiques and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. Teresa, you're up next. You've got Notion. Tell me about Notion.
Notion is a application that you can get on your computer, your mobile phones, and it's really powerful. It has a lot of things it can do, but it's one of those things where you can put notes, you can save pictures, you can save links, you can organize things, you can make calendars, you can make tables. You can make databases of data. It'll save things in different formats. So like if you want to write down some SQL notes, you can actually save it in the SQL format, or you can save it in like a Unix format. I mean, there's all kinds of options in there, and it does a lot. So it's something I've used in the past.
Cool.
Then the Smart JSON editor. I think that's for Mac only. Should have noted that on there. But I know for me, working with JSON files, I'm pretty terrible at just trying to like edit something or copy, like, oh, I want to add another person. And so there's like a person tag or something, and there's a bunch of stuff within it. There's a way to just click and drag and drop like a directory style of sections of the JSON, and you can copy it, you can delete it, you can modify it in there, and then actually get a JSON version of it and be able to, copy it over and do whatever you need with it. But like, it's a way to like visually edit it a lot easier than like trying to line everything up and make sure you didn't forget or accidentally delete a curly brace or something like that, which I do all the time.
Real cool. Thanks for sharing that. Looks like next up we've got Amber. Which to testing with addresses.
She says she's on call right now.
Oh, okay. We can come back to that one.
Yeah.
Random VIN. Okay, it looks like testing with list of city, states, zips, and that kind of stuff. Oh, cool. David Black had mentioned Notepad++. You want to talk about how you use that?
Sure. I like it just because it's in some ways a lot simpler than anything super special. It doesn't keep rich text formatting. So a lot of times when I'm copying code and I send it an email, try and throw it in a code editor, it's got all sorts of funky spaces and things that destroy my code. So I like to sanitize text by throwing it in there. And then for all sorts of work and personal things, I'll just jot notes down in Notepad++ to prepare and put them somewhere else. So I think by default, it keeps up all your tabs when you close it. So it's pretty easy to pop open, jot something in, close it down. And then it also does support different code languages and applying coloration and helping you, I guess, read different types of code as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it's on my list too. I just haven't got there yet. So good to call out for that.
If I could add on that about the Notepad, I use that thoroughly. And one of the better things about it is the modules. So I know like Code Studio has a lot of modules that I really just don't know, but in Notepad++, there's a huge ecosystem there of a lot of different modules to do whatever it is you want. And one of the modules is a difference tool. You can actually just pull up two files, text files, and just tell a Notepad to just difference them. And I'd step on that differencing beyond compare. Just beats the pants off of everybody for differencing. And in fact, I always change my Git editors and comparators to beyond compare. Now that's a free to use time limited thing, I think now.
Yeah.
But I don't know of anything that comes close to it.
Yeah, I've heard that in a session that I did on this at a conference that Beyond Compare was brought up, but it was kind of the trial version of it people were talking about, but which people usually go to the paid version then. Yeah,
well, for the $25, it's or whatever it was at the time, it's worth. There's a lot of people use KDiff, and then there's Meld, but I find the Meld is too graphic and a little slow in the Python world. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for sharing. Well, we'll pop on back onto my list. We definitely have more to cover. And again, if you think of other tools or if your mind's jogged a little bit, just drop it in the chat and we'll come back to it when I get a little farther along in my list. So yeah, let's keep it going. I love hearing about other tools that people are using that I haven't heard of before. So yeah, keep it up. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some tools we use in testing. So this is one that I don't use in particular, but is recommended by other testers I've talked to. So iTerm 2, this is viewing terminal windows on a Mac. It's definitely great for looking at logs on multiple servers. Split panes, hotkey window, search, autocomplete, instant replay, multilingual support, shell integration, and doing some password management, and has other features. So if you're working on a Mac, you might want to consider iTerm 2. And Notepad++. So we just talked about this one, so I'll just keep moving on from that. Rapid Reporter. So this one is one I heard about quite a while ago. I don't normally use this, but if you're a tester that does any kind of like context-driven or exploratory testing and is going to be doing some testing in a test session, so let's just say you've identified a time period that you're going to do some exploration into a particular area. Rapid Reporter is your kind of session-based notes work for your session. So it relies on, kind of taking notes during that uninterrupted time of testing and reviewing those notes afterwards. And you can see here from the screenshot that it has a fair number of points of functionality like linked together that can help you when you're going through a testing session. So you can identify the tests that you're doing, have some one-liner descriptions of what it is that you're testing, keep track of your time. There's a screenshotting button if you don't have some other utility that you're using for that. There's an extended notes button, and basically it was developed out of somebody that was doing a bit more regular session-based testing and found that there really wasn't a tool that could really help them go through the process of doing that. So I would say that if you do session-based test management or want to do a little bit more exploratory testing and you want to have that tool assisted, then Rapid Reporter would be a great tool to try out. All right. Accessibility. I wanted to bring this tool up because this is one that I've come across recently. NVDA is a tool that you can use for collecting some product accessibility feedback. So it is a top screen reader for accessibility testing. So there's a couple tools that are at the top of the market for accessibility testing when it comes to screen reader and navigating, websites or applications. And JAWS is one of the most prevalent, but JAWS is pretty expensive. But NVDA is an open source tool, and it's, from the last study I looked at, was the number 2 tool on the market, and it's free and available for download. So if you're looking for something a little bit more than some of the native applications, like I think it's Microsoft Navigator and what comes on the Mac, NVDA is a pretty well-known tool in the industry now that is free, that can be used for some accessibility testing. Burp Suite. Here's a slide I had to change. It used to have more free options, but now they have something that's free that's called their Community Edition. And Burp Suite is more of an integrated platform that can help you with security testing on web applications. So it can kind of help you work through the process of analyzing applications and exploiting any kind of vulnerabilities. This has been recommended by other testers that I've worked with, although I think the tester that used it the most had moved on to a paid version of it. But you can kind of do proxy for HTTPS traffic and kind of edit and repeat requests, decode some of the data, and a few other things. So if you're looking for something to do a little bit of security testing or network testing, check out Burp Suite. Check my links. So you may have a link checker that is integrated into some of the tools that you use regularly, but if you're just doing a little bit of hands-on testing on the side, you can use a tool called Check My Links to quickly check the links to see if the pages are working, and you get this nice little display that shows you what's working and what's not. So it's not always going to tell you if hey, this is the correct link, but it'll just let you know if it's broken. So if you're looking for something quick and easy to use for checking your links, you can use this Google extension for Check My Links.
Quick question on that. What's that mature content exclamation point underneath the section, like yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because I got this screenshot this morning as I was going through and making a few updates, and I went out to check my links, and when I grabbed this new screenshot, it said this on there, and it didn't before. So I don't know if it's. I have no idea what that is.
That's weird. Huh.
Yeah, I thought it was weird too. I don't get it.
Yeah. Huh.
All right. So I want to pop back and see if anybody's added any additional tools.
I'm back.
Oh, Amber's back. So Amber, why don't you tell us about the tool that you had listed?
So I listed two. One is just a little website that has a list of all 50 states and their zip codes. Because I do a lot of testing and they're like, put in an address. I'm like, okay, what's a zip code for Arizona? I don't know. So I just go to that site and it's got the capitals for all the states. So I can just go, okay, here's a zip code for this state, and I can just continue on because we have a Google lookup integration. So I just type in the zip code and it pulls up everything I need. And then the other one is randomvin.com, where we also have integration with VIN sites. Like they like will give you all the VIN information, everything like that. So I have to submit a lot of quotes where I enter in a valid VIN number, but once I use that VIN, I can't use it again for the same transaction. So I just go and this random VIN will give me random valid VIN numbers because I usually don't care like what the vehicle is. I just need a valid number. So
Gotcha.
So I just I use that. So
cool.
Those are my things.
All right. Secure CRT. Tell me about that.
Well, as I stated there, it's a alternative to PuTTY.
Yeah.
So a lot of people use Windows, and back in the day, before SSH, there was a program called Procom, and even before that was Kermit. So Procom had a scripting language, but when that became obsolete and needed to go to SSH, I reviewed a lot of alternatives, and they all had proprietary scripting languages, and everybody wanted to use their own favorite, but then the scripting language wasn't portable. What's really cool about Secure CRT is the fact that it supports any ActiveX language, so you can write Perl, Python, Visual Basic, and we'll just add in their module for the API calls, and away you go. And so with what I deal with hundreds of servers around the world, and so I got huge phone books, and they're all programmatic, and I can get into things real quick and tunnel through tunnels and have scripts that just, do whatever I want real quick in any language. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Looks like we got 12:45, so we got about another 10 minutes to get through a few more tools here. I'll get into some automation tools here. Many of you may be familiar with Selenium WebDriver and IDE. So if you want to drive web browsers across different platforms, those are definitely good tools for doing browser-based regression tests, kind of scale and distribute across environments, and also to create some scripts that aid in exploratory testing. I know there's a fair number of people that do that as well with Selenium. Also got Cucumber on the list. So if you're someone that wants to do some automation using very, very kind of like simple, kind of more UI driven related automation, Cucumber can be a really good option for some simple and easy to use, understanding automation through some use cases using just some simple text. So you can check out more on Cucumber at cucumber.io. Soap UI. I didn't get a chance to look this one up to see how much of it is still free. I didn't get a chance to look at that this morning, but this has been on my list for a while. So if you're doing some web services and API testing, Soap UI is open source and cross-platform functional testing tool. So it's got a pretty easy to use interface. And if you need to do some testing on web services or APIs, check out Soap UI. There's also Postman, which was recommended to me by some other testers that were doing web services and API testing. So this isn't one that I had on the list in the past, but the more and more testers I've talked to that have been doing API testing are recommending Postman for building testing and doing some documentation on APIs and also REST testing for browsers. All right. If you're doing performance testing, JMeter is definitely the industry leader for a open source type tool. So I've recently talked with, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 companies about aspects of performance testing, and every one of them said that they would lead with JMeter for engagements with clients and stuff. So if you're looking for a way to create some load testing and design those on across functional test cases and measure your performance, then I would suggest taking a look at JMeter. All right. Do we have any other tests tools here in the window I'm looking for? Teresa, GraphQL Playground. Tell me about that.
So if you're testing any GraphQL calls, I find that tool is pretty simple to use. You also can actually test GraphQL and Postman too. So it just depends on which tool you like. I've used both as a combination. GraphQL, you can kind of put in the schema and get kind of the explanation of the schema in a pretty nice visual format. And there also is a GraphQL Playground Chrome add-on as well, where you can just do it from the browser as well. But if anybody's testing GraphQL calls and not just REST or SOAP calls, that's a good option too.
Okay, thank you. Amber, tell me about Insomnia.
It's kind of an alternative to Postman. They have it's a lot more simplified, so you can't do like there's like some automation plugins, but it's not really for automation. It's for manually testing REST calls. And I like it because we have some PDF responses that come back from our REST calls. So you can actually see it without having to save the file and then like rename it and then open it up if you're using Postman. So it's got some nice features in it so that you can, it's pretty much just like Postman, but it has some nicer, it's like a lot more simplified.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I've got a little bit more time. I can get through a few more tools here, but I'll keep an eye on the chat window if you have other things. So got a couple of other technical tools that I wanted to kind of share out. So don't underestimate the need for doing some monitoring. So Process Monitor is a good choice for if you're needing to do some deeper system monitoring for Windows. It shows the real-time file system registry, process, and thread activity. And it combines a couple things like legacy sysinternals as well as FileMon and RegMon. So it's definitely a tool that we have some testers here use that they seem to like when they're doing some monitoring for what's kind of going on their system. All right. And also CC Cleaner. So this was a tool that was recommended to me by one of the testers I work with. And they'd have different times when they were installing things on their desktop. This would be Windows, but if they were needing to clean up cache and files, registry settings, browser cache, errors, settings, disabling background programs, all kinds of stuff, CC Cleaner is definitely a good tool to do a lot of that cleanup for you when you're like installing, reinstalling, and testing desktop type applications. All right. This is another audience participation form. That's all the tools that I had on my list. I actually have a bit of a longer list, but we're running out of time here for me to get there. So this is last call now for any other tools that you would like to share out, whether it's a process tool, a technical tool, something that helps you in your daily work that alleviates a little bit of your challenge in your life, I guess. Looks like Teresa's got one here. Tell us about Keybase.
I think you can get it from keybase.io. It's kind of like Discord, and it's supposed to be private. It has options where you can chat, you can send files, you can have them destroyed after so many seconds. So like if you need to send somebody a password, you can send that password and set it to destroy after so many seconds. I know we've used it for that kind of stuff at work in the past. So yeah, it's just kind of you can get it on desktop, you can get it on mobile, and you can use all the different features, chat, share files, all that kind of stuff in there.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks, Teresa. And that pretty much wraps up the session that I had. Oh, do we got one more tool in here? Hold on here. Let me check. Oh, no, that's it. Okay. I'm trying to like monitor between my notes and chat and video and all that stuff. So I want to thank everyone for coming today and talking about some of their favorite tools. If you have any additional ones that you'd want to share out or whatever, you can reach me at Jesse Lancaster on Twitter or just Jess Lancaster on LinkedIn. I definitely want to say thanks for showing up today and being a part of the call and sharing some of your favorite tools. And in the next month or two, we've got some other exciting sessions that we're going to be doing with some additional speakers. So look forward to those and be watching the Meetup site for us announcing those additional sessions. All right. Thanks, everybody. That wraps it today. I appreciate you taking the time.